So let me just say a few things. I've worked substantially with entrepreneurs, guys who are trying to seek financing, be it loans, equity investments, grants, and also advising businesses on their processes and how to be profitable, get customers and all that. I'm going to speak in 4 areas. I'll make it pretty fast. First is, can everyone hear me? Yeah, because, okay, I'll try to shout. Let me first start by just talking to us about raising financing in Nigeria in general. I try to be as practical as possible. Let's make no mistake, raising financing or funding in Nigeria is hard. And hard relative to, say, raising financing in Europe, where interest rates are actually negative in some cases, or in America, where the Fed is just printing cash. There's so much cash flying around, and people are looking for where to channel those funds. In Nigeria, it's a lot harder, and there are 4 reasons why. I'll rush through them. Reason number 1 is a weak economy. Our economy is weak. You can say we have the largest economy in Africa, but when you consider that we have also the largest population, if you begin to look at our GDP per individual, you will see that it's not as high as you think. And 2 things rise out of a weak economy. One is it limits the availability of capital. So yes, we have all these big banks that have very big balance sheets, but at the end of the day, for the volume of business our population needs to be doing, the capital is not enough to go around. So the second thing the weak economy does is it limits the viability of business. The truth is, a lot of the businesses we are trying to set up would not easily find it, will not find it easy to get customers, and that's just the truth, because Nigerians are poor. So if you want to start a business, for example, as a dog groomer, how many customers will you get? Most people can bath their dogs, But if you take it to, say, a Western European country or America, you can get a lot more customers. So that's reason number 1. The second thing is the integrity risk is just too high. Nigeria is a high-risk environment when you talk about integrity. The truth is, many people, I'm not saying everyone, I'm not even saying anyone in this room, but most people, when they take a loan, they see it as a gift, not even a grant, a gift, as money that should be spent and forget about paying back. So that also limits an investor's willingness to give you funds, be it equity, be it loans. The third thing is, it's also difficult to obtain the cost. So if I give you a loan and you can't pay me back, it's very hard for me to get that money back. Obviously, I can take you and go and shake you on top of Tobenna Bridge, but that's illegal. But at the end of the day, it's difficult to get recourse as an equity investor, as a loan provider. It's difficult to get your money back. Adore will tell you about situations where people take loans, they use, say, their house as collateral, and then they go and take a loan from another bank, use the same house as collateral, and then by the time they default on all those loans, banks find it, say 2 or 3 or 4 banks, find it difficult to really, realize their funds. Yeah, but obviously, you have credit bureaus and all that, but it just shows you the difficulty in getting your money back. And then the last thing is high risk, so high interest, low risk alternatives. Well, a lot of that has changed with treasury rates, bill rates coming down. But there was a time when you could invest in trade and get as much as 14%. So if you come to me with a business venture and I can put my money in treasury bills, more or less risk-free, I give you that money and risk losing my capital. So these are the things that make access to capital in this sense now being equity investment or loans. Essentially, capital that the investor expects to get something back from. That's what makes them difficult to get. Let me also, David and Ada, have run through capital sources. Let me also run through a few. There will be a lot of similarities, but in case anybody wasn't listening to their speeches, you can consider it a refresher. So when we talk about capital, I want to first look at what I call the easiest form of capital. We've talked about bootstrapping and all, but one source of capital a lot of us might not be considering is customers. The truth is, for those who are fashion designers here, if you can upfront get 10 people to pay you to make outfits for them, that in itself is capital that you can then use to buy materials and make those dresses. So sometimes in trying to, especially when you're rendering service-based businesses, you can actually get the money up front from the customer and then fund the cost of whatever you're going to do, and that will serve as capital. Obviously, it may be limited, based on the scale of your business, but that's one source of capital. Another source of capital for those who are doing tangible businesses like agriculture or manufacturing or food processing is suppliers. So if you're, for example, the man who is looking at processing rice, if you get a farmer to supply you rice, and then you pay that farmer after selling the rice, he has financed your business. Because rather than taking money to buy the rice, he has given you what you normally would need money to buy. Yeah, so that essentially that's supplier credit. So it's like a loan that your supplier is giving you. So these are two things we have to also think about when we are looking for funding. So other things, like when you talk of bootstrapping, you can finance your business through your savings, through grants, obviously that has been said, soft loans from friends and family, competitions like pitch competitions and all, and equity obviously from venture capital and investors and angels, and lastly institutional debt, like from the banks. So those are mainly the capital sources. Now let me go into what is. Hello, I hope I'm not boring anyone. So let me go into what investors want to know. Now I'm talking more about investors, equity investors. Ada has talked a lot about debt investors who want to give you a loan and then you pay back. But an equity investment is like there's a saying that after the choice of who would be your significant other, husband or wife, is an equity investor, because that's like having a spouse in your business. That's a marriage. There needs to be that chemistry, that bond between you and your equity investor, for the business to thrive. So many businesses have gone down because they got money, but they got money from the wrong person, and vice versa, So what are equity investors or investors in general? It could be banks as well, but what are people who want to put in money in your business? What are they looking at? The first thing they are looking at is your track record. Now, track record could be your character, because it's a startup business, or it could actually be what the business has achieved. So you don't come to me and say, okay, I need 100 million naira. Okay, what have you done? Before coming to me, what have you achieved? Oh, I've been able to, with the small money I have, I've been able to run a 20 million naira business. And then the investor knows that if I put in more money, there's a potential that this business will grow. So if you don't have a track record, be it for character, meaning that you're trustworthy, or that track record in the business in particular, then it will be, in fact, this is the deal breaker. The conversation starts and ends with track record first. Once it's not meaningful, then that conversation really ends. And the next thing is really capability. Now I'm speaking from the key things that an investor will have a checklist. These are the things they will be ticking off to really know if they want to invest in you. So capability is in the sense that the business you say you want to run, can you actually do it? So do you actually have the training? Do you have the skills? In some cases, do you have the intellectual property? Do you have the processes? Because it's easy for you to say, I can produce, so for like fashion designers, I can produce maybe 10 dresses in a week. Fine. If I give you investment, you're projecting that you can produce maybe 100 a week. Do you have the processes in place to achieve that? If I don't see that you can do it, then why should I put money in your business? So capability is key. Next is markets. Yes, you have this business, but how big is the opportunity? How many people will buy this service or patronize you if you enter that market? So an investor wants to see that the market is large enough so that your business can grow into the market size. If the market is shrinking or the market is too small, then an investor probably will not go into it. And bear in mind that it's not just the market today, but also the prospects for the markets in the future. Yeah, so that's like equivalent to the conditions in Ada's assessment, a loan assessment discussion. So the next thing is competition. You know, the thing about business is you're really not the only person in the game. So I need to assess that not only are you good at what you do, but you are as good as or better than other people. There's no need to invest in someone who you know that in the face of competition, they will not be able to thrive. And now I'm also talking of competition today and competition tomorrow. Because, so for example, the lady who does Zobo drinks, if I find that she's making 1 million this month, next month she's making 5 million, the following month she's making 15 million. I mean, look at that, this is a very nice business to go into. And the third month I'm competing against her. So an investor wants to see that you have a plan to compete today and to stay competitive in the future. The next one is use of funds. Okay, you need 10 million naira, you need 20 million naira. What do you want to use that money for? An investor wants to know what you plan to do. You plan to use that money to buy a Range Rover for the CEO? And then also, what else do you do? Okay, yes, a flat in Ikoyi, Oga needs a second wife as a CEO. Second wife. So or do you really plan to inject that money into business? And an investor needs to understand the rationale behind, those investments. Now, the next thing is economics of the business. Now, if there's something called a hurdle rate, if as an investor I have money, and I know that if I put this money in a fixed deposit account, I can make 10%. I can't invest in you who is a higher risk and expect anything less. So you need to understand how much return the investor is expecting. So, and does that now fit into the opportunity you are presenting in front of the investor?
Sorry, did you say hurdle rate?
Yes, hurdle rate. So, like in the Olympics. Yeah, yes, yeah, or you know how you have a hurdle. So essentially it means, what's the minimum rate I need to see, you understand me, before I jump in. And then lastly would then be, capital required and, and valuation. So how much are you looking to raise and how much are you, so let me put it this way, how are you valuing your business? Because you don't just come and say, okay, Mr. Investor, give me 10 million naira, I'll give you 20% of the business. It could be a case that the investor will be saying, wait, hold on, how much have you invested in this business? Do you really deserve to have 80% of this business? Or am I the one bankrolling everything and then you're just there? Because at the end of the day, if everything goes south, you walk away, you might say, oh, I invested my time, but you walk away without losing anything financially. But this investor is losing hard-earned cash. So you need to have a basis of saying, this is the value of this business, and if you're investing this amount, this is why you should get this percentage. These are somewhat technical, but if you plan to go beyond your family, you plan to go beyond BOMAD, your savings, grants, and you now want to raise serious capital. We hear about Farm Crowdy raising maybe $10 million. We hear about Gokada raising $5 million. We hear about guys raising funds. The reason they're able to raise those funds is because they're able to satisfy all these questions by investors. And the thing about business is, the reason why you need to grow your business is that if somebody much better capitalized and bigger than you comes into that space, you're out of business. Let me give you a simple example. Let's imagine you have a small provision store where you sell, regular provisions and all that people need. And you wake up one day and ShopRite opens a branch next to you. What do you think will happen? Go into another line of business. Because that's the end of that business. But if ShopRite sees maybe an urban or a spa in your location, they know that they can't stay there, they go far away. And that's why you need to grow your business, because it gets to a point where the big boys just squeeze you out of business. But if you stay at least at a certain size, you can always weather any storm. Okay, let's give another example. When the recession hit, many companies went out of business because they couldn't. So let me give you a scenario. You have two businesses. One business has 1 million naira in savings. One business has 1 billion naira in savings. If the economy goes down, which business do you think will still be standing? So those are two extreme examples, but it just goes to show you that size gives you some level of staying power in business. Your resilience. If something goes wrong, okay, let's imagine you're an SME, let's say you do small manufacturing, like you do rice processing and you have a generator. And that generator, no lights in your area, and that generator is what keeps you in business. So you will come to work one day and the generator has packed up and you're unable to buy another generator. What happens? End of business. But if you have the means to immediately buy a new one, then you stay in business. So that's why business needs to be big, and those are the things an investor is looking at. Now, the last thing I want to look at is the actual process of seeking investment, of getting investment. What do you need to do? So I know in the brief that was given, the talk was around the pitch deck. But you see, the pitch deck is only one part of an equation. Pitch deck is more of what you use to actually entice the investor, tell a story. At least get someone who knows nothing about what you're talking about to have an understanding. And it's also good because I guess many of the businesses here are also always seeking grants or seeking to attend pitch competitions. So that's where a pitch deck works. But if you're trying to raise serious capital, a pitch deck is not adequate. So you need 3 other documents, typically in something called an investment package. So when you seek investment, you come with a package. Now, the first thing in that package is what you call a teaser. So a typical pitch deck is about 10 pages, but for some investors it's still too much. They want to see 1 page. They just want to see a few lines where they read it and they immediately get what the business is about. So, and that's called a teaser. So in trying to raise investment, what you typically are doing is you're just enticing the investor slowly. You show them something, they get more interested, you show them the next one, they get more interested, and until you now show them a Bible or something they can take to their financial advisor or take to their accountant and say, this thing looks interesting, but I need you to really understand. So the first thing is a 1-page teaser. What needs to be in it is very simple. What the business is about, how much you want to raise, and what the benefits will be to the investor. Simple. I want to process rice. I want to convert raw rice and process it into, white rice. I need 3.5 million naira. If you invest in me, you get this, you get this, you get this. why we need to invest. So reasons to invest, one could be there is demand, two could be I have a unique technology or unique system, three could be the returns you're going to get are going to be higher than you get elsewhere. Four could be, could be environmental. The federal government is trying to encourage more local rice production, so the market will only expand. So those are the things that you just put in the one page, and then if an investor looks at it, they say, okay, interesting, show me the next thing. Then the next thing is the pitch deck. And the pitch deck will typically have the things I mentioned the other time, things like your track record, what you've done before, your capability, the market size, the competition. One thing I would say about pitch deck is don't make it too voluminous. It's not a place to write stories. You can have a pitch deck, each slide should have maybe one line, or a few lines, just to tell a story. Pitch deck is not the place where you want to say everything about your business. You are just still trying to get the investor interested. Once you're done with your pitch deck, the next thing you go to is your business plan. Now, what the business plan does is that's really like a storybook where you tell the story about the business. Things you need to have in your business plan is one, an executive summary, meaning what the business is about at the end of the day. Two, how much you're trying to raise. Three, your company details, who are the directors of the company, who owns the company, is the company registered. Four, you're also trying to talk about the market. How big is this market? Five, competition, who are the competitors in the business? Six, I hope I'm not rushing. Next thing is what are the products and services you're trying to sell? Seven will be your team. Who are the people that are going to do this thing? Who are the people that are going to run the business, and what are their qualifications? Qualifications not so much about BSc and MBA, but more about how experienced, how competent are they? And then finally, you look at the financials. So you break down your financials, you have an income statement, an income projection, which talks about the profit and loss of the business. You look at cash flow projection, and you look at your balance sheet. So that's about business plan. The last thing you now need to show an investor, so a business plan is still something an average investor can read, is now what is called a financial model document. Now, in coming up with financials, there is a basis for it. If you say, in year one, we want to make 1 million naira, how? So you need, in a financial model, it's going to be an Excel document. You will now begin to break down how you arrived at different numbers. So if I say I want to make 1 million naira in a year, you break it down to, let's say 1.2 million naira in a year, break it down to 100,000 in a month, and then you now break it down to how many units you need to sell to make that 100,000. So even in your costs, you have to have a basis. So if you say, for example, we are going to spend 20,000 naira a month on diesel, you need to give a basis on how you got about that number. So it could be, a liter of diesel is 200 naira, and we want to be using 100 liters, a month, and that's how we come about 20,000 naira. It has to be that detailed if you want to convince serious investors who want to give you good money. So if you want to continue to, because for me, what I've found is that many SMEs continue to hover at that same level. You're going for grant competitions, you're getting 200K here, you can get even 1 million, 2 million. But at a certain point, you have to decide as an entrepreneur, do you want to run a business or do you want to be winning grants? If you want to run a business, big boys do big things, big boys and girls do big things. You have to now do those things that are required to get, that thing that looks like a hobby or a side gig into a business. Because there's a way I like to look at it. Many of us are saying that we're doing business, but what we're doing is hustling. We're just hustling.
Let's stay business.
You're just hustling because the truth is, signs that your business is a hustle. One, if you are not available, the business does not work. That's a hustle. Two, is the fact that there is no predictability. The truth is, an access bank can say, give or take, this is what we are looking at achieving in the next 1 month, yes, it may not be entirely as planned, but there's some level of, you can say if you project to make £1 billion, the first 600 million is guaranteed. It's not a matter of whether it will now be higher or lower. But where you wake up every day and your projection for sales is, Father Lord, take control. Hope is not a strategy. Yes, we talk about spiritual capital, but at the end of the day, imagine if you fixed your money in a bank. So if you have $1 million and to the bank says, okay, you take your money to a bank and then say, ask how much interest are you going to give for this money? And then they'll be like, God will. It depends. By His grace. So I'm not trying to knock on anything spiritual here, but the point I'm trying to make is, if you want to run business, stop. I think some of us are trying to, stop trying to run a business and run a business. I guess that's what I'm trying to, I'm not saying you have to do it overnight, but you get to a point where, if we say we want to do this thing, let's just do it. And you run a business for 1 year, for 2 years, at a certain point, okay, so in the initial stages, what you're trying to do is get a track record, get customers, understand the business. So in the first year, second year, third year, you're doing all of that. But you get to a point where you say, you know what, we are known in the markets, we know what the customers want, we know where to get this. So let's now begin to create a structure. One thing that scares many of us is the fact that investors want to see everything, structured, everything done right. Not every time. I know people who have raised private equity, venture capital funds, and their finances were, here and were not in order. Those investors will come in, if they're interested enough, they will say, okay, let's bring in an auditor to audit your accounts. And it's not to penalize you, but to understand your business so that we can know how to come in. But the thing is, the business owner would have come to the realization that I want to run a business. But until you come to that realization, it would always be like you are running a gig or hustle and all that. So I guess in rounding up, what I'm trying to say is that business in Nigeria is hard, raising financing is hard, but it's doable. You need to take it one step at a time. The first step really is proof of concept, prove that there's a need for your business and service. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about. If there is a need for what you are rendering, ultimately you will get compensated. That's the truth. And then you take it one step at a time. Once you establish that need, you run, you begin to put in processes, you begin to look at, okay, let me bring in an accountant to make sure that, okay, my financial transactions are being recorded. Let me begin to pay myself a salary and not just, let me steal from the business or, because accountant, how much do you have there? 1 million, okay. Organ needs 200,000, there are structured ways. Some people give themselves loans. So some people take loans from their businesses, which they pay back. But it is clear that the individual is distinct from the business. So in doing that, eventually you get to a point where an investor wants to come. So a bank comes in. The truth is, I'm sure Ada will corroborate this. Not every loan seeker has everything aligned. The banks will come to say, okay, you need to put some things in order, but there are some fundamentals that need to be seen. That this thing, there is an intention to run this thing as a business, there's an intention to make this an ongoing concern, and then investors will come in and, and then they'll support your business. So, yes, thank you.